Welcome everyone to the next episode of Tech Apprenticeships Unplugged, Fit's live LinkedIn series where we speak with tech apprentice employers about the benefits of hiring apprentices and how it can deliver proven results for businesses of all sizes. My name is Jessica McKeown and I'm the Senior Tech Apprenticeship Officer at FIT, which is Fast Track into Information Technology, and I'm delighted to be the host for this session. Just a bit about FIT. For those of you who may not know, FIT is the National Coordinator of Tech Apprenticeships in Ireland, with programs in software development, cybersecurity, computer networking, and a new data analytics program set to launch later this year, subject to QQI validation. Today, we are delighted to welcome Christine Maloney, Early Careers IT at ESB. ESB have been one of our valued tech apprentice employers since 2018. They have also been key supporters of several FIT events, such as our annual Hero in Tech Expo, which celebrates and promotes the opportunities available to women in the tech sector. Thanks a million for joining us today, Christine.
Good morning, Jessica, and good morning to your audience. I'm delighted to be here. Delighted to have got the invite and delighted to be part of this community. So I'm looking forward to our chat today. I might give you just maybe a minute or so of my own background in ESB.
That'd be wonderful.
If that's okay, Jessica. So we have a large IT footprint in ESB. I've been looking after early careers for about 2 years, just coming up on 2 years. But prior to that, I had a career in project delivery in IT in ESB. So lots of interesting, fast-paced work there with technical exposure. So exposure to lots of different technologies as we rolled out projects. So for the last 2 years, I have embraced this role around. So we're going to talk about apprentices this morning. I also am involved in the recruitment and development of our IT graduates for IT and ESB, and then some other smaller pipelines like Reboot and our undergrads and that. So that's a little bit of a background. I'm telling you all I'm only in the job 2 years, so that I can explain why I may not have full answers to some of your questions, Jessica.
That's brilliant. And it sounds like such an interesting job to be in the early careers. And I suppose from ESB, why, I suppose, did they decide to become tech apprentice employers in the first place? And can you share a little bit about that journey?
Sure. Well, like you say, we're working with FIT since maybe 2017, 2018. And at that time, one of my colleagues, Carl McMahon, would have been the first to reach out to FIT. I suppose what we noticed was a gap in our technical pipeline coming in, and how best to address that. He had, from a personal network, FIT had been suggested to him, so he reached out, and really so a very rewarding relationship, built on that. I suppose what we were looking for, what ESB was looking for at the time, was probably, like more diversity in the what we now call the early career pipeline. Our pipeline to date would have been a well-established IT graduate program, or else the development of internal resources in ESB in the IT space. So I suppose what the FIT program did was it ticked a number of boxes for us, but particularly the diverse background. So we weren't getting, like the IT graduate, caliber. We were getting mixed calibers with mixed skill sets, come through. That's what we were after. And I'm going to say, Jessica, it has proven, to be such when Carl engaged initially, he brought two apprentices in, one in the QA test team and one in the business analysis team. And both of those people are still working in ESB, and both are on a career ladder, like they are working towards team lead and line manager. Very steady, very committed, very loyal, open to learning. So I suppose when we dipped our toe in the water, first of all, back in 2017, 2018, we were really blessed with the caliber, of the apprentices that came in, and it's something that we might talk about later. Like is the caliber of resources that come to us through FIT.
Yeah, and I think, Christine, just I suppose the fact that you mentioned diversity and inclusivity, and that is very much, at the core of what FIT do, and creating these opportunities for people through, through the tech apprenticeships, and having different means that people can actually get really, really strong careers that they can grow in, is wonderful, and it's great that the ESB have embraced that, embraced that journey with them, I suppose, as well. And how has the hiring tech apprentices differed from the traditional hiring methods? How have you found that?
Yeah, so I suppose I would say hiring tech apprentices through FIT is a very straightforward process. For example, as I said, I look after the IT graduate program as well, and recruitment for our September 2026 intake is going to start in about a month's time, maybe not even a month's time. So we start 12 months out to recruit our IT graduate apprenticeships, our IT graduate program. And we have to line up with college dates, for that, for their grad fairs and that. Now, it doesn't take the whole year, but we have to start, like that far out. So the tech graduate turnaround is a much shorter time. In ESB, we have a standard talent acquisition process to go through on our side. And Betty from FIT, she works very well with us in following that process. You'll be aware of recent changes, certainly one that applied to us was for computer networks apprenticeship that is starting in October, and the schedule, with those semesters changed, and it provided a challenge for us and for our HR community, I suppose, around probation dates. And as it wasn't going to work with our probation periods here in ESB. And Andrew and Betty came in to meet us, and we talked through it with HR people in the room, and Andrew and Betty came halfway, to meet us to strike dates that would work for both sides. So we're piloting that with our October starts.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
and I suppose. Yeah, and that is key to kind of, I suppose, working with employers to make the opportunities work for people, for both the candidates, for ESB or other companies as well. And for those of you who wouldn't be familiar, there's a 70-30 split with the tech apprenticeships. So 70% of the time they are with the employer, and 30% of the time they are in the educational aspect of the program. And before working with FIT, I suppose you might have touched on this already, but can you talk us through some of the challenges that the ESB were facing when building a tech talent pipeline, and how the tech apprenticeships have helped to solve these challenges?
Yeah, so I did mention, earlier on that, our entry level tech talent, historically has come, either through the IT graduate program, which is well established, or else through internal ESB people who may be doing external training themselves and express an interest in joining the IT space. What the program has provided for us, I suppose, is an alternative route, and it allows us to to guide and mentor the apprentices in the technical elements that are pertinent to ESB. And an example I would give there is we have a very large SAP footprint in ESB. And it's something that we would find difficult to recruit graduates into, like that SAP space. So we have a first-year apprentice there currently in the SAP area. And she's proving to be a hit. Okay, so she's doing her college 1 day a week, and then 4 days with our SAP team. So it's a very distinct IT skill set, I suppose, like the SAP space. But this program has allowed us to develop the apprentice, to develop her in the SAP space, and at an apprenticeship pace, I suppose, but with a view to further development and potentially joining the team there.
Which is wonderful, really, because it means that you're learning through the apprenticeship. You're learning what's required in the here and now, what's required within businesses within the here and now, which is really, really important, especially as technology moves and evolves. It's great that they can be taught what is required, which is really fantastic. And I suppose I just wanted to mention, just because I suppose we were talking about the building a tech talent pipeline, and there is the Leaving Cert results are out this Friday. So good luck to everybody that's going to get their Leaving Cert results this Friday. And just to say that Tech Apprenticeships may be, if you're interested in tech, this might be a route for you. And also, if there are any business leaders or HR professionals watching this session at the moment who might be facing similar challenges, then we would love to speak to you about how Tech Apprenticeships can help solve them. You can find a link to our LinkedIn page and book a call with us in the comments. So, Christine, just on to my next question. How has hiring Tech Apprenticeships, or has hiring Tech Apprenticeships apprentices had any impact on the retention rates for your company?
Yeah, and my observations, Jessica, and I'm afraid I don't have figures, to support it this morning, but my observations is that we have high retention rates for our apprentices. Now, that said, we have high retention rates for our IT graduate program as well. But what we see with apprentices, right, is where they have an interest in a particular area. So we'll take cyber just as an example. So if they join, like your program, and then one of our teams, one of our cyber teams, they establish themselves in the team and they learn cyber in ESB from the bottom up. So how all of those risks are managed, like in the ESB environment. Following the 2-year apprenticeship, during which time they will rotate, during that 2 years, rotate within teams. Following that apprenticeship, and with mutual agreement kind of with the cyber team, we can offer them a 2-year space on an internal ESB-led traineeship program. So they'll have finished their time and they'll with FIT, and they'll have achieved their level 6. But then we continue to train them for a further 2 years. And I suppose this development really rounds off their learning and will prepare them for hiring at that stage by ESB should a position exist. What we see at the 4-year stage is loyalty to ESB, as they'll have gained experience right across the cyber function over those 4 years. They could, of course, leave at that stage, and they'll be highly trained and be in a good position to leave. But it's not what we're seeing. We're seeing them stay.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we've noticed with the Tech Apprenticeships, is that there is that sense of loyalty, because they're training with you, and they're kind of, I suppose, they're growing with the ESB, and then they want to stay, and the fact that you have that progression pathway is hugely important. And I suppose in terms of memorable projects or moments involving tech apprentices. Are there any that stand out to you? And how have tech apprentices been able to contribute to the ESB?
So I listened to Angelica from Salesforce on the last webinar, and she said there's so many. Like it's really difficult to pinpoint one, and I really struggled to, like to find one that would be relatable, like to the audience. Every team they join, like they contribute at a high level. They're not in there, like filing or copying or anything like that. Once they're in a team, they're working as part of that team. But an example that I thought you might like this morning, and one that will be relatable. Everybody will remember Storm Eowyn last January. And that was really busy, really important time for ESB, where at one stage we had 700,000 people without power.
Yeah.
All of our processes, all of our procedures are stood up, like in that event, like we practice them, like all the time. But such was the volume of outages, like that our call handlers were working right around the clock. And a call went out for volunteers to handle particular types of calls. So I suppose the call handlers were taking calls from people that were ringing in and saying, when is my power due to be back? Or I'm telling you that I have an outage here, or there's a tree on my line, and all that kind of thing. What ESB Networks wanted to do was get ahead of that and to, like call certain groups of customers, and the primary one was vulnerable customers, that would be logged in our system as vulnerable customers. So to get ahead and call those and make sure that they were okay, and to work with them for power restoration or supply restoration. The call went out, and two of our, I think we had 6 apprentices on the books at the time, and 2 apprentices put their hands up and said, can we do this? So I did it, like also. Yeah. So I know what was involved in it. So there was a period of training, and then you were put on the phones. You were given, like numbers to call. You had a history in front of you of the customer, like you were calling. And, not every customer, was happy to hear from ESB. Some people were. Yeah. But those apprentices took that on, and it was a great learning experience for them. But I suppose it for like when you asked about, like memorable moments, to me, like that showed that those graduates, or those apprentices, really saw themselves as members of ESB, like that they could join in and represent the company at that level in dealing with customers.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It shows their sense of loyalty, and it also shows the, I suppose the effort and energy that ESB have put into these tech apprentices as well. And it's great to see that they're, offering up their time to be able to help people like that as well, which is really wonderful. And I suppose what would be the most significant benefit your company has experienced from hiring a tech apprentice? And I think you sort of answered that nearly in that last question, in terms of their loyalty and their want to give back. I think is important.
Absolutely, but I'd also say, Jessica, is most significant for me would be the pretty consistent quality of the apprentices that we're seeing coming through. If we need to flex up in an area like computer networking or cyber software development, fit are responsive, and they're responsive with good candidates interested in learning and earning. So the most significant benefit to the company would be the quality of candidates that we see coming through consistently.
That's fantastic. And Christine, would you recommend hiring a tech apprentice to another employer?
I sure would, and I'm in the process of hopefully having 3 starting in October in the computer networking space. So it opens up a pipeline for like potential employers with a group of people who haven't necessarily followed the graduate happy path. An apprentice will need time, with somebody experienced from your team. So this isn't a shortcut to, like ready-made talent. You do need to spend time developing them. It does take time, but you'll be developing your apprentices with skill sets, like particular to your area. And I would also say that a lot of the apprentices that join, they join with skill sets that we may not see in the graduates who come out at a level 8. So things like, experience in teamwork, in communication, in understanding responsibility, communication, all these things, they're transferable skills. And
Yeah.
we see them coming in, I suppose, in a more mature apprentice than we might see in the graduates.
That's fantastic. And I suppose I'm delighted that you, I touched on that around the soft skills and those kind of really, they're called soft skills. They're quite strong skills in terms of communication. I suppose thanks, Christine, for joining us today, and to everyone watching. Just a reminder for any employers who might be interested in hiring a tech apprentice from any of our upcoming programs this year, or would like to explore how it can be the right fit for you, then you can find links to our website, LinkedIn page, and to book a call directly in the comments. Keep an eye out for our LinkedIn account to discover which Tech Apprentice employer will be joining us on our next live session. Thanks a million, Christine.
Pleasure.
Thank you.